y'all, me again. Okay, so in the first part of this video series on electronic harassment, I started talking about my experience with people who are paid to electronically talk into your head. And that is the best way I can explain it. If you've heard the term gang stalking, it is a type of gang stalking. It's one of the ways that people are harassed, specifically using technology. Now, whether that's implants, fillings, microwave stuff, I don't know. That's way out of my league. But I do know, if you are experiencing it, there are some things that you can try that may make your experience less painful. I'm not going to say any of these are going to solve it or cure you. They may not even help you. But I'm basically going to tell you what I've done that has helped me, and maybe something in this list will help you. So, as I said in my previous video, the intensity of the electronic stalking, the talkers, people who are paid to somehow talk into people's heads, into their minds. And often that's referred to as the voices in your head. Some people call it schizophrenia, but again, I'm doubting even that that exists at all. I really am. Maybe it does, but yeah, I have to wonder at this point. Basically, I think there's a good chance if you are hearing voices in your head that are not healthy and helpful, or your own, you're probably a victim of electronic harassment. You can read more about that online. I'm going to tell you what's worked for me. One of the things I'm not going to go say is go see a psychiatrist. You can if you want to, but I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say are some things you can try, some things that have helped. One, music. I did not know that I have actually been listening or singing songs to myself, and I would refer to it as a mental jukebox, or the iPod in my head, where I could pull up songs throughout my life. And I've done this at least since middle school, and all different sorts of songs. And I've talked about this sometimes, about how if I have trouble sleeping, I'll pick a song and I'll sing in my head myself to sleep. Well, one of the things that was very helpful when the talkers got to be particularly loud and annoying was I would throw a song in over them. It's, you know, you still sometimes can hear them under the song, but at least it gives you a bit of a barrier between their stuff and a nice little song. And it will help if you learn several songs so you don't get sick of the same song over and over. But it can also just sort of become this nice, quiet, repetitive, almost like a hum with words that dampens the talkers and the noise that they're trying to make. So, try to learn some songs. Also, listening to music may help you, but let me just warn you. The frequency, the tone, the vibration, the volume, a lot of that is going to maybe make the situation better or worse for you. So, if you are feeling uncomfortable when listening to a song, even if it's a song that you've enjoyed your whole life, but today that song just doesn't feel all that great, maybe switch to a different song, or try a different genre, maybe switch from rap over to country, and see if that might help you a little bit. Or vice versa, country to rap, doesn't matter. Okay, so try listen to music, but do watch how it physically makes you feel. Also, I think this is so important. The talkers, that's not God, or Jesus, or Allah, or any divinity. It's not the goddess Venus. It's not Aphrodite. It's not any of those people. And here is how I can guarantee you it is not those people. Do you think that somebody who has the power to create everything, and I mean like, you know, God, right? The divine, do you think that they would choose a way to communicate with their soul families, right, that so many other different people could use to talk to you? In other words, we know that whether it's MK Ultra or demons or just mean people, have the technology to put voices into your head. We know that for a fact. So why would somebody who is divine choose that same method of communication when there is no way for you to tell which is which, right? A voice comes in your head and says, "It is I, God," or Jesus, or Allah. Well, how do you know? I mean, you just say, okay, well, I guess so. But, yes, how do you know? Well, you can't know. If you've ever heard more than one voice in your head, well, then you know God's not going to talk to you that way. And even if you have just heard the one, just think about it logically. A divine being is not going to communicate with you in a way that a non-divine being can also communicate with you. They just won't, because it would be too confusing. Which leads me to another point. Be careful about the friendly talkers in your head. For a couple of reasons. They can use that friendliness to sort of, especially if there are a number of talkers being used on you, and let's say 9 out of the 10 are mean and cruel and say horrible things, but there's this one nice one. You may have a tendency to lean towards that one and look towards that one for help and assistance. Well, I did that for sure, because it's kind of scary, right? But then remember, this one will turn on you. And that actually is much more painful really later when the 9 can. So it may be tempting and it may be okay to actually lean on that one for a little while, but be warned. They are not your friend. They will never be your friend. They are taking money to torture you in your head. That does not make a very good friend right from the start. Okay? So, you can lean on them and be friendly with them, but they will never be your friend. And at some point, this person will use the bond that they have created with you and turn it against you. And that will be maybe even more painful than what these 9 mean people said it did. Okay, there's more. Here's a good one. Realize these are just people talking to you. So turn the tables on them. Make them your target. And be creative about it. Have fun with it. And you don't have to be, angry and cruel and ugly and mean and do what they're doing. But maybe use some humor. One of the things I tried, and this is a quote that, I love quotes. This is a quote I'm going to share with you. Goes something like this. Do not let the theater of the absurd dictate your happiness. Turn your darkness into fiction. Well, fortunately, I ran across that quote thing during this whole situation, and it really pinpointed something that helped me a lot. And that's basically this. Because the talkers, for me, were primarily religious themed, which is odd because I'm not religious at all. But it was heaven, hell, God, Jesus, Buddha. There was a lot of that stuff. I decided that I'm going to be an angel. And so I came up with I'm not going to tell you the whole name because I'm still working on the name of it. But basically an angel detective agency. And so when some talkers would appear, I would say, whoop, hello, it's the Angel Detective Agency. How may I help you? Well, fortunately, I was in my house most of the time, so I could get away with being just a little odd, walking around my living room talking like I'm in a detective agency. But it worked because, I figured if they're going to be messing with me, I was going to try to have as much fun with it as I possibly could. And that's not always easy. And sometimes, I'll tell you, there was a particular moment. Short version was I was on my hands and knees on the floor in the basement. Just the volume, the frequency, and the intensity was hitting my brain in such a way that it was physical, mental, emotional, and I was just on my hands and knees. So while I am talking about things like, turn it into fiction and listen to music and sing yourself songs, do know I understand the depth of the torture that is involved. And that's what it is. It is literally torture. And keep that in mind too, as you're surviving it. They are literally being paid to torture you. Remember that. What is their goal? Is it to make you angry? Well, then do you want to get angry? Maybe not. Is it to make you sad? Well, then maybe you don't want to get sad. If they're telling you to do things that are harmful to you or to other people, well then, say screw you. I'm not going to ever hurt anybody, and I'm not going to hurt myself. Take what they're saying to you, almost like the negative stuff, as a challenge. You are trying to hurt me? Well, what do they say? Living well is the best revenge. So I'm going to have a blast with this as much as I can. And also figure out some of the things that really piss them off. Like I have a talker, she's obsessed with water usage. It's weird. Any of y'all have a water usage person that talks to you? Well, she hates it when I take baths. So I just run up my bathtub and anyway, find out what pisses them off, and you know, if they're going to mess with you, then you mess back, because they're just people. Remember, they're not demons. That's just a story they use to scare you. And really, that's what most of this is about. It's about fear. They want you to be afraid. They'll threaten you. They'll lie to you. And use your logic. Like the stories that they tell me, in no way are those stories possible. They were saying they were killing me and stuff every night. Well, come on. Maybe, you know, if we shift dimensions, you might get to kill me once a week, once a month, maybe. But every night, no. Come on. And they were telling me stories about my childhood that just simply didn't match up, but did match up with some pictures from my childhood. So be smart about it, too. When they're telling you things, think, what are some other possible ways they could know this? And then do realize it is possible they've been reading your mind, watching your every move, literally, since birth. And I guess that's one of the ways I want to wrap up this particular video, because I realize I'm about at the 12-minute mark. It's not just that there are people who are paid to talk into ways that somehow get into your brain. But they can also put thoughts in there that are coming in a different way than this conversational stuff. Ideas. They can put pictures. They can put dreams. They can take thoughts. Have you ever had a word that just whoop, or a thought that just whoop, it got stolen? That's them too. There's so much they can do, and I don't even think we know the half of it. Oh, if I can think of some other things, and I didn't really look at my list too much, because I like to make eye contact with y'all, but if I think of some other things, I'll make a third video. I just really have this stuff on my mind right now, and partly because it's been a long 4 months with these people. They're still sort of around. I can pick up on them when I want to, which reminds me, this is not telepathy. I am so sorry. Some of them may come in very strongly as your grandmother or your grandpa, and it's not. I just don't think it is. In fact, they call it synthetic telepathy, fake telepathy. And maybe telepathy is real, and maybe you can communicate with people who have deceased. But I don't think it's, I just don't think it's like that. So, there is so much about this topic that I may want to share with you in the future. And I'm not promising I'll make more videos about it. But I was just feeling very passionate about it today because, well, I feel like I'm getting a handle on the fact that there are a lot of us out there who have been targeted for who knows why. Maybe no reason at all. Or maybe people think that we're magical and powerful and amazing, and so they have to target us from a very young age. I don't care why. But all I know is this. I'm not crazy. You probably aren't either. No, you might be. A little bit. But there's a chance you're not. And I did open an angel detective agency. So if you need some help, well, send it up to the creator source person, and then they'll work their way down to me. Because I don't think I'm going to be hanging out in the comments. Because again, gang stalkers, they also write comments on YouTube. So, anyway, time's up. I love you guys. Bye.